So in this part, I want to talk about the ethics of permaculture. They're threefold, and they are one of the three main parts of permaculture. We have the ecology, mimicking the natural world. We have it's a design process, and thirdly, there's these three ethics. So the first one, earth care, is about the way it says here, rebuilding natural capital, of doing everything that we do in our designs in a way that enhances the health of nature, or doing it at least in a way that doesn't harm nature at all. The second ethic is people care, and that is about thinking about our personal well-being and also that of those around us. So being in our families and in our groups of social groups, and thinking about how we look after everyone so that everyone can be in a healthy emotional and mental state, that we make things accessible, we look after each other. And then the third ethic is around fair shares, so setting limits to consumption and reproduction and redistributing surplus. So always thinking about how can I share some of what I'm doing here with other people. And that might be in a way of just simply, when you have a land-based project, that if you have surplus produce, vegetables, fruit, that you share that with other people. It might be giving other people access to your land and project so that more people can enjoy it. It might be about sharing of knowledge and ideas. So there's many ways that you can apply that. And in some ways you could also think about, when you source things, where is it coming from, and is it coming from a fair place? So things like fair trade labelling is a way of making sure that whatever you bring into a project is also from a fair share ethical basis. So an activity that I want to tie in with this is for you to each have some consideration about how this applies to your life. And a way to do that would be to draw these three circles on a piece of paper and write the names in it, and then take some random objects from your house. And I've taken here just two things from my kitchen, so a plastic pot of pepper and a random box of biscuits, and just looking at these and looking at ingredients and labelling, where does it come from, where does it fit within these three ethics. So is it meeting the whole need of earth care? And sometimes I might not know all of that. So taking some objects and just really considering how those ethics might apply. And they're relatively broad. They're just there as a guide. There are no real direct, strict rules within permaculture, but these are ways that you can help steer your projects. And basically, if it doesn't meet those ethics, then it's not really permaculture. So multinationals polluting rivers can't be considered permaculture projects. So that's the permaculture ethics. And then the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is the principles of permaculture that are more to do with mindset and attitude. And I'm just lifting a couple may have mentioned already in the beginning. There's working with nature. So we're modelling on nature, we're harvesting the wisdom from nature to apply in human systems. So however we do things, we're trying to work with what naturally wants to happen there anyway. And that is how nature grows, but it could also be in social projects, going with the nature of the people that are part of a project, and not trying to make people do something that would be really difficult for them. So working with nature, not against it. Another really key attitudinal principle within permaculture is the problem is the solution. And this is all about thinking solution focused, so not knowing what the barriers are and then designing a way around that, so that we're coming to a solution, an abundance way of getting results from our projects. And also not trying to go against what naturally wants to happen, so it goes with the work with nature. So if we have an area of land that has a particular quality, like really wet, that you try and do things with that piece of land that would suit wetness, rather than trying to do big engineering projects to make it dry and going. So using what's there and finding the solutions that will work with that. And there's also something about seeing the gifts in things and seeing the glass half full. It's an attitude, positive mental attitude thing, as well as actually working strategically with problems to create solutions. And the third one I want to mention at this point is minimum effort for maximum effect. And this is a really classic permaculture one, and it ties in with the whole systems thinking that within a system where everything is connected, that you're trying to find the leverage point within which, with the smallest change, you can have a real impact throughout the system. So always looking for small efforts. What is the smallest thing that I can do that's going to have a really big impact? Is a really helpful way of looking at projects and where's the best way to have an input. So those are some of the attitudinal principles, and they become really ways of seeing the world and ways of thinking about the world. Really helpful.